Hey, it's Neilpryde
and Maciek,
and today we're going to show you how to rig the Neilpryde Flight Evo racing foil sail.
Let's go.
First, find a flat surface, preferably grass or something like this wooden deck. What you don't want is rocks. You don't want concrete. That's really not good for the Dacron or for the monofilm sleeve pockets that we have on this sail. Unroll the sail gently. Tell your caddy to prepare the mast for you.
You will notice that we have a 7.7 here. The mast is 490. That's quite a bit of a longer mast than you would have in a equivalent slalom sail. That's because the sails are much more high aspect, so you have a longer mast and a relatively shorter boom.
And you slide it in on top of the buttons, on top of the cams, right in the middle of the luff sleeve. And I'm trying to put it quite gently, and if there's any type of resistance, I grab inside the boom opening and slide it in through the boom opening.
Once you reach the top, make sure you check that the mast is properly connected with the top cap. Yes, it is.
You can turn the lowest part of the sleeve here inside out.
You make sure the extension is set to the right length.
And some of the sails you can rig on two different mast sizes, like this one. You can rig on 490 and 520. So there's going to be two different settings. And then you thread the rope from left to right, so that your rope doesn't twist, doesn't cross. That way it's way easier to downhaul the sail, which, as you're gonna find out, is very, very crucial.
So with the Neilpryde extension and the Neilpryde pulley in the sail, it's quite straightforward. You're just going from left to right with the rope.
And there's even little numbers for guys that keep forgetting how to put it, like me.
But can you count to 3?
Yeah, I mean, to 10 can be a little bit hard, but to 3. Okay, so now you're gonna put a little bit of downhaul just by hand. And then sit down to put enough downhaul for the mast to appear in the boom opening, because we're gonna wanna put the boom on before putting the cams. So just put a little bit. You're gonna notice that anytime we downhaul the sail, we keep our backs straight and we just use the power of our legs to downhaul. You ask your caddy to put your cams, to put your boom on, sorry. You ask your caddy to put the boom on.
First, your caddy will adjust the boom, which
it's
is already
adjusted.
That must have been the caddy of the caddy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's behind the camera there.
Put that there.
So there's actually two ways of putting cambers. You can do it with the boom, just like we're doing now. And you can do it without the boom, which is a little bit faster, but a little bit more tricky. Takes a little bit more skill. Clamp the boom on, put the ropes at the end of the boom. By default, we always put them on the lower position. Only super underpowered, we use the higher position. In foiling, generally, compared to the fin, we're gonna want less backhand pressure. So if you're just crossing over from fin slalom to the foil, you probably tune the sail to have a little bit less backhand pressure than the fin sail. Okay, put a little bit of outhole with our inter-outhole system, and now we can start putting the cams. We generally start with the cams closest to the boom, either the one on top or the one just below the boom. And we have these zippers to help us access the cam, because what you want to do is you want to press the place where the button meets the cam. You press on the button right next to the camber, and with the other hand you can help yourself slide the cam onto the mast with your wrist. The cam's next to the boom. You can also reach through the boom opening, but the zipper is super convenient. You do that with all four, and then you proceed to put the downhaul. Actually, you ask your caddy to put the downhaul.
So for this step, you can use your harness or your trim stick. Make sure to make your back straight and push with the leg.
So if you look closely, you'll see that as Nico was downhauling the sail, the loose material was moving, the edge of the loose material was moving from the minimum towards the maximum marker. These markers are super important and are a super easy way of looking how much downhaul you have to put. There is the indication of the extension, of course, but if you're not using a Neilpryde extension, it could be a little bit off by 1-2 centimeters, but you have these indicators which make life super easy. How do you check it out? You see basically where the material is loose. It's loose here, right in the middle of the minimum and the maximum. Right now, here on the max, it's fully tightened. If Nico puts more downhaul, the edge of this material will move towards the max. And the optimum where you want to start is right in the middle of the minimum to the maximum. Don't go less than the minimum. If you go less than the minimum, the sail will be harder to rotate, will feel heavy in your hands when it's under downhaul, and will pull you sideways rather than propel you forwards. If you go more than the maximum, you over downhaul the sail will start losing its stability, the center of effort of the sail will start moving between your front hand and the back hand.
As you get closer to the maximum trim point, you will realize that there's a lot of tension on the foil sails, so don't be afraid. It's quite hard to pull the downhaul. You need to be strong and have the right technique with the back, of course, but don't be afraid to get all the way to the max point.
Yeah, definitely. On the foil sails, as mentioned before, you want as much release as you want to get. You don't want to feel that the sail is pushing you sideways. You want the sail to feel very slippery. The sail is generally a little bit flatter than the fin sail. That's normal. That's because it doesn't need to put downforce on the board, right? The board, the board is not gonna fly away, correct? It's not, it's not on the water surface. Therefore, the sail is flatter, faster, with more release. And it's obviously, as Nico mentioned, more high aspect, so it also looks different. That's why the minimum and maximum downhaul markers are so important.
At the same time, as long as you stay in between the minimum and maximum marker, you can't go wrong. So it's really plug and play. You get it in between, that's about right. And the next step, you just want to make sure you tuck the rope away. We have a little net down here, or actually with the Neilpryde MXT, you can put the rope inside the extension. And then your last step will be the tech strap, which is another tuning tool to make sure to close the leech or open the leech. Basically for light wind, you put the tech strap a bit tighter. As you can see, it will bring the lower spatten up and close it. And if I loosen it a bit, it can open more, it can release more wind, it gets more slippery, similar to what Maciek mentioned before. And at the minimum, you just want to make sure that all the wrinkles are gone and you're ready down here.
Yeah, on the outhaul, contrary to the fin sail, you never want the sail touching the boom. Generally, if you look at PWA World Cup riders using the foil sails, they'll use them quite a bit tighter on the outhaul than the fin sails. So you're gonna wanna have just enough to feel power, to get planing, but in straight line, you don't wanna feel any pressure on the backhand of your foil sail. Now we just need to close our zippers, so no sand comes in. Also, that's like half a knot extra speed. Close our zipper on the boom opening. And I think we're, that's why I'm a bit quicker than you look. You see, you need to put the zipper inside.
That's why I'm not as fast?
Yes.
I see. Well, your sail is ready to go. Of course, there is a little bit of fine tuning to get the last bit of edge out, which we go into detail in another video. And you are ready to go on the water with your Unrolling Flight Evo.
Enjoy.